Hello, Unity community, and welcome back to another official Unity live stream here on twitch.tv/Unity, and of course, the official Unity YouTube page. My name is Jackson, and I am one of your community managers. It is my responsibility to bring you all of this live stream content, so thank you so very much for being here. We've got a fantastic show planned for you all. We will be sitting down with Ben Lavender of Kinetic Games, of course, the creators of Phasmophobia, and they will be diving deep into the mechanics of creating the elements of fear in their game. An absolutely legendary game and a wonderfully fantastic guest. I'm very excited. Of course, if you've been around a long time, we did a stream at Unite in Barcelona last year where Ben and Ben's friend and colleague CJ sat down and joined us to chat about Phasmophobia a little bit. But this will be a much more technically focused, a much deeper dive into the project, into the editor, and I'm very excited to get into it. But of course, I want to welcome you all in, whether you are watching on Twitch or YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. If you are watching live like Asher's the Nerd, Mr. Awesome, Noob Zem, like Mwenmen, Droid Hustler, if you're watching live, remember that this is a conversation, that you can hop into the chat. We can see your comments. We can bring your questions to our guests. If you have anything to share, please let us know. I'd love to know where in the world you are tuning in from. We already had Mr. Awesome saying, hey, from Alabama, but please let me know where in the world you are. As any community manager will tell you, being able to see the absolutely international, worldwide reach of the community is one of the most fulfilling, rewarding things possible. So thank you again for being here. If you are watching this as a video on demand after the fact on YouTube, take a look down at that navigation bar as we will have it chaptered out for your convenient perusal. Pop around to whatever part of the stream most appeals to you. Dive in deep, as I'm sure we're going to get a lot of very exciting information about this game, which is so cool. Awesome to see people from all over the world. We've got Morocco, Germany, Sweden, Wisconsin, and Greece so far. Thank you, everybody, again for being here. A little bit of housekeeping before we move on. A reminder that for the next few months, we are going to be testing an increased live stream schedule. We are looking to do streams 2 times per week. You guys already get us every single Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. That's 9 a.m. Pacific and 5 p.m. GMT. However, we are also looking to do as many Tuesdays in that same time frame as possible. We, of course, will need a little bit of flexibility with the schedule, as scheduling and managing and producing these streams can be a little bit of a challenge when we have so many external guests, and we're trying to bring you the best that we possibly can. So that being said, we've got a lot more stream opportunities and would love to see you at as many of these as possible. We are working to build this to a fantastic, well-fleshed out community space, so come and hang out at every single opportunity. Of course, today we're sitting down with the team at Phasmophobia, but on Thursday at a later time slot, we will be doing a stream with a team out of New Zealand, the company being Pickpock, and the game is called Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days, and we're going to be diving into how to create zombie AI. And it is incredibly self-serving, because I went into that meeting and said, I'm going to let them pitch ideas. Sometimes they don't have them. I'm going to come to them and be like, maybe you can tell me about how to make zombies. And they were like, yeah, we got a few ideas. Let's talk about maybe how we make zombies. I was like, say no more. Stop the list. We got it. We got it in one. Let's do it. So that's on Thursday. You guys have a lot to look forward to. Mr. Awesome asking about Clocked and Loaded. We do have one scheduled for next Thursday. We've got a Clocked and Loaded. Again, if you're not sure what that is, that's okay. We will have more time to give you those details. But I've been talking for about 5 minutes nonstop. So I think it's about time that we bring in our guest. Everybody in the chat, please give a warm Unity welcome, the way that I know you can, to Ben Lavender. Ben!
Hello. How's it going, Jackson?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining us. How are things?
Good. Thank you for having me. Yeah, no, things are great. Yeah, things are really, really good. Lots and lots happening. So, just happy to be invited and to kind of give this deeper dive into Phasmophobia with you guys.
Of course. I mean, it's always a pleasure, right? I feel like we get the the unique opportunity to bring people not just like a taste of their favorite games, but also like, no, we're going to show you how some of this works. So really excited to bring you on. Very excited to have you back. Before we get too much into the weeds about the game and the presentation and the show, let's get people to know you a little bit. Of course, you joined us, as I mentioned, at Unite last year. That was super fun. But for anyone who doesn't know, who are you? What do you do? And is Phasmophobia your favorite game?
Sure. So yeah, hi, my name's Benjamin Lavender. I'm the technical director at Kinetic Games. So the first 3 years I was the senior developer, and Dan originally, the CEO, brought me on to see what the roadmap to 1.0 might look like, as Phasmophobia is still in early access 5 years later nearly, and kind of flesh that out, see what the vision might look like, and make it happen, I guess. Take some of the development pressure off of him. So yeah, and now I'm tech director. Our team is standing much stronger at 25, I believe. There's 25 of us now. So now my responsibilities have changed a little bit. I'm more kind of managing the programming team and kind of like analyzing the technical direction and more strategy things. But yeah, no, it's going great. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
And hello.
Yeah, always exciting. I feel like when we talked last October, wasn't the team at like 10, 12 people? Like, has it been that big, or am I misremembering?
Yeah, so we've scaled up quite quickly, to be fair. So this time 12 months ago, there was just 5 of us still. And now, yeah, there's 25 of us. So we've got like a team of artists, team of programmers. Easter was kind of, we had managed to get, our seasonal event, our Easter update, we managed to get quite a few bug fixes in that. But I think the next feature update will be the thing where you'll really see what our new team size is capable of in terms of speed and quality of work, I guess.
Nice.
It should be good. Be good.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I believe you're in the UK. Is most of your team in the UK as well? Or are you guys kind of spread all over the place?
Yeah, the majority of our team's in the UK. Our lead QA is based in the States. Cool. But other than that, yeah, everyone's in the UK. We've got we did buy a building. It's a really beautiful kind of like converted barn, but planning has been crazy because it's a listed building and protected, so it's taken nearly a year to get that done. But that is happening now. But we've got like an interim office in the meantime. So just I don't know. We've been working remote so long. It's really nice to kind of get everyone together in the same space, get to know each other, socialize a little bit more, and I think, yeah, collaboration, creativity wise, I think, yeah, everyone's really enjoying being in the physically the same space, and it's really nice to see, and it's really helping, I think, with the productivity and the people's general happiness as well, which is really lovely.
Yeah, it makes a difference, right? Like, we've seen the 100%. World kind of shift to like remote being so easy and accessible, but at the same time, there's something to be said about having a group of people in the same room and just the creativity and camaraderie that sparks there. Before we dive into the stream itself and talking a little bit more about Phasmophobia, before we move off getting to know Ben a little bit here, Ben, what's your favorite game?
That is such a big question,
I know. I ask it every stream, and every single person's response is the same. Like, oh, I have to pick one. I don't know that I can, but I still ask it.
Yeah, it's one of those weird ones where as you play a new game, you think, oh, this is like my new favorite game, but then another one will come out and you're like, oh, that's my new favorite game.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like key points in my life where there's been games that have kind of like stuck in my mind. But at the same time, me personally, I pretty much love all genres of game. I'm not really like, oh, I only play first-person shooters, or I only enjoy playing FIFA or something. I kind of enjoy like loads and loads of indie games, interesting new mechanics, as well as kind of like the mainstream stuff. But these days, I only do get time to kind of dip in and out of the mainstream stuff, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, Cyberpunk obviously is a big one.
Cool.
That kind of vibe in general, like aesthetically and like the play style is kind of exactly what I enjoy. Like God of War is really big. I'm playing through Ragnarok at the moment. That's another level. That's awesome.
Is that your first playthrough of Ragnarok?
Yeah. I mean, it only came out on PC. Oh, to be fair, I say only. It's probably maybe a year ago now, but compared to the console release, at least it was not too long ago.
I think it's one of the most relatable gamer tropes to be like,
Yeah.
my backlog is this, and it's like I get to
Yeah.
games when I get to them. So I
There's
think
a
that makes it
two-play category in Steam just sat
yeah,
there, like,
it's
getting ever
endless.
bigger but never smaller.
Yeah,
Or, like, maybe once a year I remove one game, like, yay!
yeah, yeah.
But,
Um,
yeah.
Cool. Well, we've also got Mr. Awesome calling out the lamb on your shelf, which is great. And we genuinely talked about it for about 5 minutes before we started the stream as well. So I think that's fantastic. Again, Unity community hanging out, watching live. If you have questions for Ben about Phasmophobia, about Ben as a human being, feel free to ask them. And if we have an opportunity as we roll through the show, we will get them to Ben. If not, we do have a community Q&A session that we can jump to at the end of the show. But of course, make sure your questions align with what we're kind of talking about. Usually that's very, very helpful. But Ben, I kind of want to talk to you about just Phasmophobia in general and the legacy. You kind of touched on it. I don't think that I realized that this game is still early access.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
When, how do you decide? Like, what does early access even mean in 2025 is what I'm asking. Like the amount this game, the amount of experience that this game provides its players is robust and well fleshed out. So when does that tip over into a full release?
I mean, I think depending on the game, I think early access looks different for every kind of game. But for us at least, I think when Dan first released the game, him being a solo dev, of course, at the time, he was, he mentioned previous videos you can find in the internet and things. He mentioned he only expected to sell maybe 10,000 copies in the first year and just kind of be like a nice, cool little idea that he put out there. But obviously, it's exploded and gone crazy. And I think 1.0 for us is kind of where we see the features that we want to get into the game as done, and the level of quality that we want to get in the game is done as well. That's kind of how we see it. So yes, the game works, and yes, the game kind of functions as is now, but there's like layers that we want to add. There's quality we want to improve. There's things we want to completely revamp and like really be like, this is Kinetic Games. This is all unique stuff. I mean, a lot of the art assets, a lot of the maps were made from art assets from the Unity store. So we really want to kind of push for our own custom content with that. Cool. And I think that'll really help, make us sort of stamp like, we are Kinetic Games. And yeah, be unique, I guess. But yeah,
I'm sure
when we hit 1.0, we've had the plan of 1.0 since I joined. Pretty much, it was like, right, what does 1.0 will look like? Plan the whole thing roughly. And then, yeah, I mean, Horror 2.0 is the one that everyone's excited for, but people think it's never coming. But we just have to lay the foundations first. Like Horror 2.0 is the cherry on the cake. It's like I like to call it. We got to bake the cake, make it look nice before we put the decorations on, which is Horror 2.0.
Yeah. So. Tell us a little more about Horror 2.0.
Yeah. So we've been doing a lot of core changes, like a lot of gameplay stuff recently. So Horror 2.0 is meant to be like a lot of the ghosts are pretty much just like zombies, a lot of them. So what we want to change that into is we want to completely replace the models, and one, make the animation stuff way better, two, add lots of new like death animations, because at the moment you just kind of get like this every single time,
right?
Depending on how you kind of die, and the ghost model that you get. But we want it to be, without saying too much, we want the ghosts to be actual ghosts and not zombies. So.
No, I got you. And say no more, right? We're here to keep your secrets. We do have a question from our producer who wants to know, are you going to beat 7 Days to Die record of a decade in early access?
No, okay. I don't think so. No, I mean, it's been 5 years so far, and I think, we have said that. Yeah. I think next year is kind of like our kind of date for Horror 2.0 and early access finishing.
Cool.
So
exciting. I want to kind of just pick your brain a little bit about what it kind of means to work on Phasmophobia as a title. Like we'll see in a moment. The game's been bought over 22 million times, or has 22 million players of the game, whatever that statistic detail really is. Is it exciting to be a part of something so big? Does it ratchet up the stakes? Is there a level of pressure that comes with that? How does it hit you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, that's an interesting question, to be fair. I remember when I first joined, I'd never worked on a project as big as Phasmophobia. So, I still remember my first day. I think because it was just Dan, like at the Discord right at the top, and then like 500,000 people in the Discord, whatever. As soon as there was mine and CJ's name there, it was like I didn't close my DMs. Let's just say that. So yeah, it was pretty inundated. 90% of it was really lovely and welcoming. Like, oh my god, Dan's finally got some help to make the game and like push updates out a bit quicker and get things done. It's like really lovely stuff. And I think just the opportunities that it's provided for me personally has been actually insane. Like business to business stuff, getting to meet lots of really interesting and amazing people from other game studios and publishers. And yeah, getting to travel, to these different events and meeting lots of amazing people such as yourself. And yeah, it's just it's crazy, really. But I'm loving every minute of it. It's amazing to kind of be a part of the journey of Phasmophobia from release, and then Dan doing his amazing thing, and then joining, helping that, and then helping the business kind of grow and like structure the development and adjusting and adapting as our team grows. It's been a very interesting challenge, but it's been amazing to kind of be a part of that journey. And like, yeah, what we do now is very different to how it was back in the day when I first joined, but it's awesome. I love it. I'm loving it.
That's awesome. I love it a lot. And before we dive into the presentation, I want to bring in a question from YouTube here from Savely Verashak. Sure, I got that wrong, but apologies. They ask, what media inspired you the most in making horror games? Is there any sort of inspiration that you pull in your creative process?
Yeah, I think for me, the first game that I played that was a horror game that truly like terrified me was definitely Outlast. Just the way that, I don't know, at the time the graphic fidelity was like insane, and then as soon as you get that night vision camera out and it's like, oh my god, is this real? Because of like the contrast between, it doesn't have to look realistic because of the night vision, but it felt so realistic. And the atmosphere and storytelling, and that was like, yeah, the way that it kind of built the atmosphere was just insane. Yeah, I think that was like, oh yeah, I really enjoy horror games. That was definitely the moment for me. So props off to Red Barrels. I think that's right.
Yeah, shout out to them. We think maybe, which is great. And Ben, thank you again so much for joining us. We're going to transition here and switch gears into building fear. Now, this was a presentation that you did at GDC, and we've kind of taken it, we've adapted it, we've made it so that we could bring it to you, the community here. If you guys have questions throughout, again, feel free to ask them. We'll try and find an opportunity to get them in front of Ben. Towards the end of the stream, Ben was like, what if we just open up the project? And if there's anything specific that people want to see, we can dive into those systems as well. We've got one or two kind of earmarked, but if you guys have things that you're really genuinely curious about, obviously we can't guarantee that we'll talk about literally everything because there's going to be things that we can't, but keep those in mind as we go through this presentation, and we'll circle back towards the end of the show. Ben, how was the process of doing this at GDC?
Absolutely terrifying. I think it was like, I've done lots of stuff on camera like this kind of thing. Like I have my own streams, but when it came to kind of standing on a GDC stage in front of hundreds of people with these massive floodlights, and it's just kind of me and by myself standing there. Yeah, it can't really compare that. I mean, doing a GDC talk has always been on my bucket list, but I never thought I'd do it at the age of 29. So I just, crazy. But I definitely felt my soul kind of leave my body and watch myself do the talk. I was like, I'm not saying these words, but they're coming out. So great.
Yes, the out of body experience live in front of an audience, intimately relatable, I promise.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like you did an incredible job. It's how we ended up here today. We heard that there was lines out the door around the corner. We heard that, I mean, I think it was from you. You were telling me that basically you wrapped up, and the level of curiosity just persisted to the point where you were like, we have to clear this room. They are kicking us out. Yeah. So that's always cool to see. I mean, just like that level of success, that level of curiosity, that level of fervor, I think is always impressive. And I'm excited to get a piece of that here today. So we'll kind of hand the reins over to you. The stage is set.
Sure.
Step into your slightly less intimidating floodlights, and we'll banter back and forth and bring in some stuff.
Just this one today.
There you go. And you're in control of it, and I'm sure that makes a difference. So.
Yeah, that helps. If I need to hide, I can just turn it off.
Yeah. If you get really overwhelmed, just flip off your own light, take a second, let me know. We're good. But everybody, this is Building Fear, the tech behind Phasmophobia. And again, another major thank you to our team, our friend here, Ben. Cool. Take it away.
Thank you very much, Jackson. So yeah, I'll just give you some big cool numbers to look at to start with. So on Steam, we're currently set at 96% overwhelmingly positive reviews, which is absolutely insane. It's only ever dipped below that once, and that was for a what was it for? It was for an April Fool's patch note that we did. I think some people may remember that. But yeah, to us it was quite funny. Some people found it funny, but other people thought, "Oh, I thought this was real." It was quite sad.
It's always a gamble. As a community manager, I've seen it go wrong, so I get you.
But we're good. We're good. That's all good.
Good.
Yeah. So peak concurrent players is 112,000. So I think that was that would have been like back when it kind of blew up initially. I think. I think since then, when consoles came out, we did nearly break that. I think we got to 108,000. I think it was. So still going absolutely crazy and still hitting like high peaks, which is insane to be honest. But amazing to be a part of. 22 million copies sold. I think it's probably more than that now, maybe 23 or 24 million, maybe I want to say. But yeah, doing amazingly. It's crazy what's kind of happening. But yeah, right. So today, feel free to interrupt me at any point, Jackson, and ask questions. No problem.
I got you.
So we're going to look at something what I like to call a live AI. It's not actually alive. Don't worry. It's just I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. We're going to look at something that we call sensors, which is kind of how different things detect different things and how equipment sees the world and the ghost sees the world. We're going to talk about voice recognition and how that impacts the game and the player's immersion. We're going to talk about some of the tools that we've developed for our artists and designers to speed up our workflows and speed up our map creation. And then we're going to talk about developer console that we've made and how kind of it started. I'll cover that later. Don't worry. And then, we're going to finish up with a live demo. And as Jackson mentioned earlier, we've got a few key beats that we can kind of shove in there. But if there's things that you guys want to see in particular, as long as it's not like deep divey code, if it's quite a visual thing, then sure, we can potentially look at that. No problem. So a live AI, what do I mean by that? So typically in a lot of video games, a lot of the kind of the playthrough that you do will be quite kind of fixed what happens. So like, I don't know, you walk through a door and then a ghost or something jumps at you, right? Or like breaks through a wall and goes, and every time you play the game, you know that's going to come, that's happening again. It's the same fixed event. But for our game, it's completely different. We don't have any scripted events at all. So there's nothing that's like walk upstairs, ghost runs at you. Like there's nothing like that. Everything is purely based on what's around the ghost, what the player's doing, and there's only one instance of the ghost. So instead of having, I don't know, like different animations that turn on and off based on those triggered events, we just have one ghost that detects and does everything, moves around, and it's all kind of self-contained into this one entity, this big kind of massive giga AI, I guess. So that means, so interactions are happening even when they're not visible to the player. So you might have found when you're playing the game, you'll be like, oh, where's the ghost? Where's the ghost? And then you'll walk into one room and there's just a load of crap all over the floor. And you'll think, oh, okay, the ghost is probably in this room or the next room over. So it's still kind of, processing and doing things behind the scenes. And it's constantly receiving input to make decisions, which we'll dive into a little bit when we get to some of the sensor stuff. And then voice recognition. So there's like specific words and phrases that the player can say, whether it's just regularly or whether it's using like the spirit box or the Ouija board, and it will do different things and trigger different effects or increase the chance for the ghost to do various things. And we'll talk about more about that as well. So this is kind of like a mind map we made of our kind of a live AI. So there's so many things that impact what the ghost does. So we've got the ghost type top left, and that, you've got like Moroi or Spirit or Gorio or something, and that impacts how frequently it interacts with things, what it can interact with, how far it roams, how frequently it roams, how quickly it moves, all of that stuff. So that's kind of like the baseline. And then we've got are sensors, so the middle bottom bit.
Mhm.
So again, I'll show you more in depth what that looks like soon. But essentially, there's like a sensor that will sense what it can see, and there'll be another one that can sense what the ghost can interact with. And then we've got, so if we go to the interactions bit now, so that could be like light switches, it could be props to throw, it could be, I don't know, making the phone ring or like a mobile phone buzz or that kind of thing. And then we've got the player. So so when the player's saying certain things, if you're hiding from the ghost and you decide to go then the ghost knows, aha, I hear you over there, and it will come get you.
That's me. I'm the one who hides in closets and freaks out until my inevitable demise, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's great. I think my favorite one of my favorite comments, I think it's a Steam review, and it's like 10 out of 10 hiding in closet. I farted and the ghost killed me or something. So I got scared, farted, and died. It's so good.
10 out of 10 game?
10 out of 10. And then, so the player can also interact with things, and that will also sometimes impact what the ghost does, which is really cool. And then we've got the player equipment. So there's the evidence equipment, so the things that you need to gather to identify what ghost type it is. So you've got like the ghost writing, like if the book is nearby the ghost, the ghost might write in it, for example, or if you're talking whilst the spirit box is on, then and within range, it's like, are we going to talk back? Is it the right type of ghost? And then during like hunts and things, if you've got electronic equipment on, then some ghosts speed up with electronic equipment near it. Some ghosts, all ghosts will detect you if you've got electronic equipment on, so they can kind of sense it and make all the disruptions and crazy effects happen to let you know that you should probably get out of there soon. But all of that kind of comes together and kind of provides options and for our AI to choose between. So it all kind of comes together quite nicely.
It's very cool to see the kind of just like sprawling effect and influence. Excuse me. And it's also interesting that you're like, hey, just so you guys know, it's not really alive. And we kind of chuckle about it, but it's worth noting because it happens constantly. And every game, people are like, the computer's learning. And you have to be like, no, it's not. It's just well designed. Don't worry.
Great. Yeah, we're not using any like large language model thing. This is purely, everything is coded, but there's so much randomness and chance of things happening stacked on top of each other. It feels very dynamic. And that's kind of the point, right? Like, no two games are the same. You might play for like 50 hours and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I didn't know the ghost could do that. Or I didn't know like that thing was, the ghost could light the boilers in Sunny Meadows or something. Like there's loads of random stuff that you probably don't see unless you play for a while. So that's kind of what makes the game really.
Genuinely, right? Like it always feels like a novel experience. And it sets such a like fantastic foundation of like you and your friends, and you guys kind of control that narrative, right? Because there's the novelty of it and the different experiences every time. And as a result, your experience with your friends and what you guys are putting into it is always going to be different as well. It's very cool to see. It's done so efficiently.
Exactly. Yeah. It's pretty crazy how it all comes together. But yeah, no, it's that's how it works. So yeah, we'll talk a little bit about sensors now. So I mentioned earlier, that's kind of how the ghost sees and interacts with the environment. And it's also how a lot of our equipment works. So there is a Unity asset called Sensor Toolkit online, which I massively rate. It's probably my favorite plugin in the asset store. But what it essentially is just like a nice component wrapper for like the physics query API. So for example, if you wanted to, instead of relying on trigger enter, on collision enter, you basically kind of say like, oh, I have this sphere and I'm saying, right, check this area now, is basically how it works, as opposed to relying on like entering the area and exiting the area. So what we're looking at on the right is our photo camera line of sight sensor. So we've got like the input sensor at the top. So that's just kind of like an area, like a range for the ghost, I guess, a range for the photo camera of what you can take photos of. And then this line of sight sensor stacks on top of that. So we've got this blocks line of sight. So it will kind of say what's in this area that I can see and take a photo of. and now I'm doing a line of sight check, and that's saying, right, if I'm taking a picture of my mouse, for example, it would do a line of sight check and go, oh, there's a microphone in the way, so I can't actually see that because that's on the microphone layer. So that's what that blocks line of sight does. And then a bunch of kind of optimization-y settings, I guess. But then, yeah, we can limit the distance on that. We have a visibility by distance and by that angle. So, so currently when you play the game, depending on if you're really far away from the thing you take a photo of, or if it's in the corner of your photo, you'll either get a 3-star, 2-star, or 1-star photo. So what that means is if I'm taking a very, very central photo of something that's quite close, it's going to be really high up on this curve here. And it will go, right, how close is it? This close. How central is it horizontally? That close. How central is it vertically? That close. And then it will calculate a score based on that and say, okay, if it's a score of 0.9, for example, or above, then it's a 3-star photo. If, you know, if I'm, I don't know, if I'm really, really close, but it's right in the corner of what you can see in the video camera, it'll be really high on this curve, but then very low on this curve. And then combined the score, you know, I don't know, be from 0.4 or something.
This is cool to see.
So that would just be a 1-star photo. So that's kind of how we do that. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's quite interesting. I think it's really cool. But
Yeah,
I rate this plugin loads. There's so many uses for it.
It's so fun. I'm never it never gets old to me being able to dive into games that I've played and loved and enjoyed, and being able to see like the inner workings and the behind the scenes stuff. Like we had a team on in like November that was making like a 4X strategy game, and them kind of breaking down like the mob mentality on the overview map, and just being like, whoa, you're standing the game on a whole different level, and something I'm passionate about. It never gets old. So this is always so cool to see.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's I just sit like I don't know. There's not really many formats where you can see how games work. Like I think even as a dev, like when I play a game, I can think, oh, okay, I can kind of see how they've coded that, but I don't know. I can just guess. And then, you know, if you're like a hobbyist or you're just getting started or something, then you know it's even more. You know, it's like, oh, I've made my cool little game, but like, oh, how does that game do it like that? Why does that work and feel and perform so much better? Like, why? What's the difference? So yeah, providing like visibility on some of that stuff is, yeah, I don't know, it's cool, in my opinion. I used to enjoy it when I was, you know, learning. So
yeah, and I mean that is our audience, is largely learners, people that are trying to get into the profession, trying to learn for themselves. So again, kind of having that early access and that behind the scenes look, I think really helps people. So again, you're doing it. Thank you for bringing that here.
Cool. Oh, that's very kind. Thanks. Yeah. So there's also something called signal processors. So that's all that means is it's kind of filtering things out before you detect them. So instead of on trigger enter, which you'd have normally if you weren't to use this kind of setup, you'd have we have like you pulse a sensor and then you have on detected. But you can set up filters before it detects something. So you're not even considering or iterating through the things that it doesn't need to. And you don't need to worry about setting up some crazy like physics matrix because you need like, you know, like 10 layers for different things. So for example, we have like a layer for the EMF spots that you detect with the EMF reader. That's all on their own layer, but there's no, in the matrix, like everything's off. So the EMF doesn't collide with anything, but I can still physics query it. So it's just super helpful. It basically halved our physics layers, which is great. Yeah, I think I covered the rest. And yeah, and you can combine multiple sensors together. So an example for our game, I guess, would be the sound sensor. So you can change the shape of that. So you can have like just a general area, or you can kind of split it to be left and right. So we've kind of got like a cone of vision that way, cone of vision that way. And you can kind of use both to detect whether it's existing in either or kind of thing. So it makes it, yeah, super useful, super easy to use, highly customizable, and super performant as well. And depending on how you use it as well, it will use like the non-allocated version if it can, which basically just means you don't get any memory allocations or garbage collection on it, which is perfect for performance reasons. Cool. Okay, moving on. Voice recognition now. So initially, when the game first came out, we only had Windows voice recognition. It was only on Steam, so that made a lot of sense. It was built right into Unity, more or less. So we didn't really have to. Nothing was needed to be done. It was just kind of get the Windows voice recognition namespace, and off you go. But that only works on Windows platforms, right? And of course, now we have Xbox Series S and X and PlayStation 5 and PSVR 2. So we needed something that was a bit more platform agnostic. So there is a plugin on the asset store called Recognissimo, but that's just it's Unity support for a core system called Vosk, which is like the underlying voice recognition tech. So that basically allowed us to do that. So all of our consoles use Vosk, and yes, on Steam you can choose between the two. And then we also have text UI. So maybe you don't have a microphone, maybe you're too scared to, I don't know, to talk to the ghost, and you want to have a bit more control over when you're speaking and when you're not. So there is the text option as well. So yeah, just adds more options available, I guess. But the core of it is when you say something, it will the ghost will either respond or change the way it behaves, or interact with an evidence, or give you a response on the Ouija board. And you make wishes on the monkey paw, and it can hear during hunts, and yeah, there's loads of kind of layers to it, but all of it together makes it feel like the ghost is really there and can really hear you and can really kill you, and you need to be careful.
I think was always the most intimidating thing for me, was speaking and hearing like a whisper behind your head, like with the like that was the one that would always set me off. And that's nope, yeah. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Sorry about that. Goodbye. Like it's trauma response at this point.
Nope. Oh, F4. Nope. Get out of there. Yeah. Good. That's what we want.
Good. I'm glad. Well, it's effective. It's working.
Yeah. If you're jumping out your seat, but in a nice way, rather than just like flashing something on your face for half a second, like I don't know, tasteful scares is what we want.
Yeah, and like you said as well, like the difference between a jump scare and like building atmosphere and creating a sense of unease that's persistent, not just building to a jump scare and coming down, but like your entire play session for the most part is ebbs and flows of rising tension.
Exactly.
It's so effective. The voice of recognition for me was always like, I'm playing with friends and just like, Jackson, you okay? You haven't said anything in like 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't want them to hear me. Leave me alone.
The ghost does not think I need to be quiet. It just like forces immersion. Like you feel more involved. It's great.
Yeah.
It's a shame it's not kind of like utilized more really. But I don't know. I mean, voice chat's pretty common, but like gameplay related features, it just makes sense for our game.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something that we're going to utilize more for Horror 2.0. Let's just say that. Like, got the thing ideas and things.
Always excited what you guys cook up next.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely here for the long haul. Like, we've got plans for lots and lots of things. Can't really say anything, but like,
no, don't. That's
we're here for the long haul. We're here for the long haul. Inside and outside of Phas. So yeah, we're
awesome. Very cool.
Yeah. So next we're going to talk about some of the tools that we use for artists and designers. So the core of kind of everything that we've made is kind of identifying what's taking the longest amount of time for our artists, or at the time it was CJ, right? So he would make all the props, he'd make all the 3D models. He would also set up the scenes and all the lighting and like reflection, like everything. Cool. Now we have a bigger team that's not as prominent, but figuring out what was taking the longest was definitely a really important thing. So like one of the first things we ever did was create this thing called auto prop. And what it does is it effectively adds everything that they need to make it work. So all they do, if you wait for the beginning of the GIF, you add the auto prop, you click make prop, save the scene, and that's it. You can pick it up in PC, you can pick it up in VR, you can chuck it on the ground, the ghost will interact with it correctly. Like it's just one button, artists, designers don't have to worry about referencing things correctly. Like everything's automated and they just press a button. There's no room for human error. It's kind of the point of that. Which is great. And yeah, we kind of want to expand that in the future. It's just more been about time, but now that we're a bigger team, we might have a bit more time to develop some tools. But we make a lot of doors. we have a lot of interactables, so maybe that's something we can kind of use for that as well. But yeah, I've got kind of like an interactable thing, like in a future slide. So
awesome.
We'll move on to that one, which is this one, which is good. That lined up nicely.
Love it when it works like that.
Yeah. So this is something that I call Interact Effects 2. There was an Interact Effects 1, or just Interact Effects, I guess, at the time. But that was basically just originally I said, right, so the ghost interacts with something, you want it to do a thing. So let me know all the things that you want it to do, and I'll just make you like a generic thing where you can just plug in whatever you need and it will do the thing. But what we ended up with is basically just a massive list of like references, and then it's like, oh, I need to play an animation, and it's like, right, what do I need to assign? Because there's all these tick boxes and missing references and values and sliders, and it's like, what do I need to actually do to make my thing work? So that quickly kind of spiraled out of control as we added more. So instead, I've now made this Interact Effects 2, which is kind of the same thing, but it's modular. So instead of just having, as I said before, just a massive list of everything you can do, it's kind of like, right, shove it on. What actions do you want? So I want to set a Boolean, in this example, on an animator. So you say, right, add that. And then you say, is it something that happens when the ghost interacts with it? Or is it something that happens when the player interacts with it, or both? And then it shows you only the relevant references that you need. So it's you only see the animator, the property name for the Boolean, and whether you're setting it to true or false. So it's super, super clean, super, super modular. And it's like that for every single one of those options. And it's all done in like a coroutine as well. So there's a delay option. So if you wanted to like do this thing and this thing and this thing, and then wait like 3 seconds and then do this other thing, you can do that. And then there's also like a generic call function one at the end, which is kind of just so you can link any custom functionality you want on top of that, in case there is a scenario I haven't kind of covered in the general sense. But similar to the other one, there's nothing. If there's a missing reference or there's something not populated, then the artist knows they need to populate it. It gives them complete freedom to do whatever they want. So when we made the new Bleasdale map, when I played that for the first time, there was so much stuff in there. I was like, oh my God, I didn't know that was a thing. Because beforehand, it was like, oh, Ben, I need this. I need to do this thing and I want to make this. And I'll be like, right, okay, and I'll come and like code it and set it up and do it all, and then I'd know it exists. But now that that's there, they kind of just do it. I don't have to do anything. I can just chill. And then I play the map, and then yeah, they've just set up all this cool stuff. It's led by them, which is kind of it's great. I'm not putting any limitations or time restrictions on them. They just do it. So that's massively, massively helped. No additional code required. You can basically use it across anything you want. It's easy to scale, so if you wanted to add more things, or there's like another scenario I haven't thought of yet, then that's easy to add. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
it works well.
Efficiency, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, exactly. If I can make something that means I don't have to do something later on, then that's the best. That's the best case.
Yep.
Which is great. So I can just focus on like the new stuff and the unique stuff that needs doing, rather than, oh, can you set up this other thing, and set up the same thing again but on another thing.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of time, especially when you're a team of 5 at the time. So
yeah. Oh, I can only imagine like the absolute necessity that this would have been at a team of that size.
Yeah, exactly. Like speed and like efficiency is really important, because otherwise like making maps would just take forever. It would take years.
Can imagine. Yeah, Mr. Awesome in the YouTube chat saying always a balance between building the tools and building the game, right? And like, you take a step back from making the game, which is the exciting part most of the time, to make the tools, but then in the long run, you're just saving yourself so much more time.
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. I mean, we've always until recently we've always had to choose between do we do a bunch of quality of life stuff? Do we make new features? Do we improve our workflows? Do we fix long outstanding bugs? But we can't do everything.
Yep.
Or even two things at the same time.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been crazy. But now we've got a bigger team. We can kind of do right. So we can do all this new stuff. We can get a bunch of live bugs that have been around for ages in there as well. If we've got a bit of time, we can get some quality of life stuff in there. So yeah, we're definitely you'll see what when our next feature update comes out, you'll see kind of what I mean by all that. But yeah, completely agree with the comment from the name I've forgotten.
Mr. Awesome.
Mr. Awesome, yeah. How can I forget Mr. Awesome? That's like, yeah.
You get one. You can forget once. You'll never forget.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, so this is just like some of the code now for those of you that code. It's not too complicated really. So we've got an abstract class that's an interactable action. That's like the base class for our actions. So everything is, it kind of goes to it or the player do it. That's an occur routine that's overridable. And then there's just an execute check to check whether it can actually do it. So if the ghost interacts with it and its ghost's action is false, then it won't do it because the ghost is doing it, not me. And then we've got a list of interactable actions, which is just containing all the actions we want for that interactable to do. Serialized reference is a really cool attribute. I'm not going to mention it because it's quite like, I don't know, it'd take a long time to explain what that means. But yeah, if you Google what that means on the Unity docs, yeah, it's pretty useful if you're making some tools for your team. Can do some really cool stuff. And then this is the example that we saw earlier. So the Boolean action for the animator. So you've got the animator component, you've got the string for the property name, the Boolean for the value, and then you can see we've overridden that code routine and we're just setting the animator Boolean property name and value. It's pretty simple, really. And then we've got, so this is the thing that actually runs it. So this is directly called when either the me or the ghost interacts with something and decides to do something with it. So is it the ghost, yes or no? Iterate through all the actions, check whether it can do the action, see whether it's been cancelled, because say like if I interact with it and the ghost interacts with it straight away, we don't want to have like two layers of animation playing like alongside each other. We kind of want to like cancel the first one and then play the second one, if that makes sense. So if I like, I don't know, if I make a phone vibrate and then the ghost does it as well, you wouldn't want two sounds of phone vibrating on top of each other, right? You'd want to cancel the first one, and yeah, so that's what that's for. And then we run the execute function, and then we just go through the whole list. It works well, so can't complain. And then so a developer console is something that we didn't have for a very long time. It's only when we decided that we were going to make trailers with a third-party studio, and they said like, oh, how can we like fix, I've got this shot in my mind of the ghost running through this corridor or something, like how do I do that? And obviously our game is dynamic, it's not fixed, like I was saying at the beginning of the presentation, like we don't have fixed events, we don't have any of that. Mm-hmm. So we were like, okay, maybe we should make something where they can kind of trigger these fixed things. So we made a developer console, and we just ended up adding loads to it. So changing the weather dynamically, changing whether the ghost is going to be like changing its room, moving things around, and it kind of just expanded from there. So we made it add like I put cheat codes, but just so that if we've got like a new developer starting the company, instead of me saying, right, sit there and grind until you're level 100 because you can't develop the tier 3 video camera until you've reached level 96, instead of them just doing that, we can just set the level or whatever, right?
I do like that is like, that's my new headcanon, is that anytime you bring someone on, you're like, good, go play 100 hours of this game, and when you feel numb and you're questioning your existence, then you're ready to begin.
Yeah, I mean, we do like when people first join, we do all the onboarding stuff, and when that's all done, then we're like, right, I want you to play the game for a day, and just like play it like in editor, so they can like see how things work, and they're like, oh, that looks interesting, and they'll click on it and just have a look. That's kind of what like day 1, day 2 looks like for our new people. But
that's fun.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. But yeah, it's been really, really great for our QA as well. Instead of them kind of like restarting the map loads and loads of times until they get like the ghost in the right room because there's a specific thing that's gone wrong. It means that they can really, really quickly go through the specific scenario and go through the reproduction steps, which is amazing. We've set it up so it automatically gets stripped to non-development builds. So in the player settings, it's like a development build tick box, and it's basically just linked to that. So if you untick that, then you can't access it if you're playing on Steam. It's only if we're doing our own builds that it allows you to use it. And then yeah, there's like a stat screen on the top right, so that just shows you like the current temperature where you are and your current sanity, and what state the ghost's in and what the ghost type is and all that kind of stuff. Just
cool.
Just as I mean, sometimes it doubles up as like, oh, I'm standing in the lounge, but the game thinks I'm in the garden, so something's gone wrong somewhere,
right?
So yeah, that just helps with some of that stuff as well, which is great.
It's interesting to even contemplate what QA would have been prior to having this. You mentioned kind of like the repro steps and just being able to be like, yes, set me in this room with these conditions, and oh great. Again, that the novel experience of it all, that it's different every single time. It's like to recreate a bug without this would have been just a near impossible task.
Yeah, I mean, our lead QA Heather I've definitely had many stories where she's been playing for hours. Like, I've been playing High School for like 7 hours. I've been trying to get a ghost in this room, but it's not happening. And it's like, why are we why are we forced to do that? That's such a waste of time.
Yeah. Is QA desensitized to the game? Like, you have to hope. I just feel like of all the jobs, of all the games to do QA on, a game this intensely stressful would be so overwhelming day in and day out. Just be like, go hop in there. There's this bug where like it seems like the ghost is completely overpowered. People think they're alive. If they think it's real, go confirm or it's just like, oh my god, I can't even imagine.
Like, the ghost has started talking to them. Like, why is that happening? Yeah, I mean, it is pretty intense. It is pretty crazy, but like, I don't know. You definitely get desensitized to it, just like you do if you play the game a lot in general. Like, even though it's dynamic, you still know what the ghost can and can't do, and what's triggered when, and how things work, I guess, a lot more. Because we kind of encourage the player to learn, because the more you learn, the more you get rewarded, and you can kind of not infinitely, but you kind of push your boundaries of knowledge, and then you increase your rewards, and then you learn more, and you can kind of push your difficulty harder and get more rewards. So when you get to that point, there's still points, because of the dynamicness of it, where unexpected things happen, especially if you're focusing on it from a QA point of view. If you're like, right, I'm testing this light switch in this new map and I'm turning it on and off, and then the ghost just sort of decides to appear and do one of the red light events and blow the light bulbs up, you're like, oh, like I'm just trying to test this light bulb, ghost, shut up, go away. But yeah, it's all good fun.
So definitely. I don't know if you know this, but there's a YouTube person on our YouTube chat right now, Aegis and Pred, who say we're both around 1,600 hours and we're totally not scared at all. Nope, not us. I don't know if that is your QA representatives just being like, glad I'm here to defend I don't get scared anymore. But either way, I think that's fantastic. And we can genuinely only imagine the bravest individuals this would require.
No, our QA are absolutely smashing it. They're doing an amazing job. Super great what they're doing. Definitely an undervalued department, in my opinion.
All the time, right? Like, I think it's...
We were talking about it earlier, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's pop culture, just being like, oh yeah, your QAs where like they sit in a dark cave and they just play the game and like... But the level of necessity, the value, the importance of that role is always understated. I don't feel like anyone ever gives them the credit they deserve.
100%. I think QA in programming is kind of similar in a sense of if nothing breaks, then we've done our job correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like if the players just sat there and enjoying the game, they're like, "Oh, sweet, that was fun." They don't know we exist in a way, but that means we've done our job well because they haven't experienced the problem. They haven't broken immersion, you know.
Which is
But
why
as
they
soon
get
as
yelled at.
yeah, exactly. So as soon
Because
as
the
there's
only
something
time you
wrong, it's
think
like,
about them is
oh,
when yep.
who QA'd this rubbish game? Who programmed this? You know.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, it's definitely it's an interesting dynamic, but
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, you know, like developers and players, like, you know, it's really hard, that boundary between how games are developed and, you know, how much passion and energy and skill and expertise go into a game versus kind of someone that like plays the game. It's so different.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to understand sometimes from a player perspective because we don't get much opportunity to play the game. And again, like other way around, like it's hard sometimes to kind of communicate how we see things as well, because developing a game is not playing a game. It's there's definitely like a small barrier, but I think it's improving over time. I think people are, you know, I mean, our community, especially, like, our community is absolutely amazing. Like, majority of them are just so like understanding and supportive and absolutely love what we're doing, and, you know, they're excited and here for the journey, and they've been around since like day one, or, you know, like year 1, year 2, year 3. Really, really positive community. I think because it kind of encourages you to work together this game, and you get scared together. I think that's really like a bonding experience.
Genuinely, yeah.
So many people have, you know, so many messages, like, oh, you know, like, I met my wife through this game, and now we're like married, and, like,
That's incredible.
like, here's some photos, and, like, you know, or, oh, I've met like my you know, some friends, and we finally met up in real life, and
that's
all
so
that
fun.
kind of thing. It's just, yeah, it's a great place to be. The community is amazing. The community is what keeps us going, really.
And there's something to be said as well about the work that you guys do and kind of cultivating that community, right? Like, again, as a community manager, seeing the difference between a game studio that puts out a game and then puts out a patch notes and an update, and that's kind of the only contact they have with the community, or like yourselves. I know firsthand that you and CJ both interact with the community through your own live streams, and that's just like the tip of the iceberg. I know that you guys are engaged with your community and really encouraging and communicative, and looking to hear that feedback and taking it in consideration. So I think you guys have done a fantastic job, and you guys have a great community as a result. Like, you guys are seeing the work pay off.
Oh, I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a little while for me personally, stream wise, but yeah, I just think it's such a unique, I don't know, while I was learning to like do game dev, I just think it'd be really cool if there was like a game that I could play where I could have an opportunity to play with the person who made it and like ask questions and chat. I think that would just be invaluable. So that's just kind of like the kind of vibe that I was trying to kind of recreate on my stream. It's just like an unfiltered, like, direct contact kind of thing. Any questions sort of go, more or less. I don't know. It's nice. I like it.
Oh, of course. And again, from as a gamer on the other side, for myself, like, having that level of accessibility to something that you love and engage with and have hundreds of hours in, like, that's just such a unique and rare experience as well.
Yeah. Hopefully it provides some value anyway for some people that have been hanging around. But
yeah,
even if it's just one person, that means that's all I need. Just
exactly
help someone.
You've had that impact on at least one. One. I think we could say comfortably at least one, Ben.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I know that we got sidetracked. Did we get to the end
we
of the
did,
presentation?
Yeah. Maybe.
I think we did.
Yeah, I think that was. Yeah, to be fair, that was the last slide. To be fair,
sweet. So it was a good time to get sidetracked and wax poetic about the game and the community.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
But if you've been gathering any questions throughout all of that,
yeah, we can dive into some Q&A. I know that you wanted to also break into the photo sensor a little bit in editor. We could get in there. Also, shout out to the people on Twitch who have apparently coined the term Phasmophobia ghosts, which is great. But we have pulled a couple of questions here and there, so we can filter into a few of them. And if you feel like you want to pop into editor, we'll do that. Again, Unity community watching live, if you guys have specific elements that you want to see of this game in the editor in the project, please let us know, and we'll see what we can do here. I am seeing a couple of people adding questions right now, so we'll try and get an opportunity to get to all of them.
Sure.
Chances are not necessarily high that we get all of them, but we can start you with something pretty straightforward and easy. Mr. Awesome asks on the YouTube side, you mentioned the Unity assets that you have, the stock assets, etc. Generally, does your team buy assets on the asset store? What's that process been like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, it was something. So when before I joined, I think all of the maps. I mean, Dan was a programmer, right? He knows how to code and make functionality, but he didn't know how to 3D model or set up a map. So when he designed Phasmophobia, it was all using asset packs. Like modular asset packs where he could build his own level kind of thing. And a lot of people say, oh, you can't make a game using asset packs and things, but like, Phasmophobia is kind of proof that doesn't matter. If you've got a good game idea and the gameplay's there, like the visuals, yes, they add to the experience, but it's not the experience, But it's definitely, now that it's kind of taken off and we've got, more people, more kind of like finances to like invest in bespoke content, it's something that we're kind of keen on replacing to be like, yeah, this is Phasmophobia. Like there's definitely some other games where you can play them and you go, oh, look, it's the fuse box from Phasmophobia. Or like, oh, I recognize that map. It's like from, there's definitely, we kind of want to stand on our own 2 feet and be like, yeah, like this, like that is Phasmophobia. Like, for example, if you play like Lethal Company, right? The first thing you might think of is, orange boiler suit with a welding mask thing on, right? Like that's kind of like a pretty thing to think, right? That is Lethal Company. You know what that is?
Yeah.
But when you think of Phasmophobia, you can think of like all bendy backs and some
Bendy
things, but there isn't like
favorite.
a defining thing. Do you know what I mean? There's not like a defined.
Sure.
There's nothing like, I don't know, like the symbol of Phasmophobia. There's nothing there. Do you know what I mean? So we kind of want to make that. But yeah, without saying what that is anyway. But yeah.
No, that's great.
You know what I mean, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. We're with you. Like that visual identity, the just like at a glance, you immediately know what you're looking at and it draws your mind right to the game. I get that fully. The community is asking some great questions right now. I, again, hope that we have time to get through all of them, but I know that we want to dive deep into some of the project as well. So we'll do our best. Andrew the Day asked kind of like a multi-part question here, but do you have a breakdown of how many people are playing single player versus online? What service are you using for matchmaking? And if you're willing to share, what sort of ongoing cost are you guys experiencing as a result?
Yeah, so I mean, when you play offline, we don't have any analytics really. We did at one point, but we don't do that anymore. So when you play single player, you are technically in offline mode. So there's no like stats being tracked or whatever. We can see like concurrent players on Steam, of course, and things like that. But we don't have any stats between like single player and multiplayer. But I think both offer like unique experiences, right? Like single players scary, multiplayer's fun, I think. As well. Yeah. And then what was the second part of that question? Sorry.
What service are you using for the multiplayer side of things, and is there a substantial cost associated?
So
don't have to get into the
I couldn't tell you like
the
specific financial side, but yeah, we do use Photon Pun 2, which is obviously it's been a staple for networking technology for a very long time. That may or may not be staying, but yeah, that's what we use currently.
Nice. Red Green Blues on the Twitch side asks, the AI branching that you had, did you use a behavior tree, state machine, enums, or something else? Question mark.
Yeah, so we didn't. I think. Yeah, I don't know if you're talking about the behavior tree package that I think Unity has, but yeah, well, no, we've just made like our own like state machine, I guess. It's very similar to if you look up like a tutorial on how to make a finite state machine for an AI, then it's very similar to that. It's just very complicated because there is so much stuff to consider and so much stuff that Ghost can do. It's just kind of it's manageable. There's just a lot of states and a lot of randomization on to kind of enter those states. But yeah, it's just a finite state machine.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Severely Zero on the Twitch side also asking, there appears to be a notable trend within the community where third-party tools such as the unofficial Phasmo cheat sheet are widely regarded as essential, primarily because They provide functionality and information not currently available in-game. Are there plans to integrate similar features directly into the game, given their perceived necessity by players? Modding. Modding's always an exciting topic. Always curious to hear. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so yeah, it's one of those where I think because we've been in early access and we've changed how the game works quite a lot. We weren't sure what was going to be sticking around and what wasn't going to be, and how the community react to some elements and how whether they'd like them or love them. So we haven't put everything down. Like, I mean, there is stuff in the journal, and there's like the training example. There is like the training scene you can go in and play. And it kind of takes you through the basics of the game, like how to use the evidence and how to not die from the ghost and things. But yeah, you're right. There is like a lot of elements where it doesn't tell you, oh, like the Goryo can't be seen in dots. You can't see dots in in real life, only through video cameras. Like, we don't expressly say that. And I think we could potentially do a bit more, but most of the idea is that we want the player to be rewarded for their knowledge. And I think if we just provide all of that from the get-go, it's kind of like way too overwhelming. The way I always kind of express it is there's layers to the game. So the base layer is you go into a map. You've got your evidence items. You identify the ghost and you leave. Right, that's like the core of the game, and not die.
Hopefully.
And then as you play the game more, you think, oh, okay, there's all this other equipment I'm unlocking, and I'm getting these objectives for things that I don't really know what they mean yet. And then you think, oh, okay, I've just unlocked a photo camera, cool, so I can take photos now. What can I take a photo of? And you kind of like encourages exploration and encourages you to kind of say, oh, okay, the ghost threw a thing up. Oh, maybe I can take a photo of that. Oh, I can. Sweet, I got some money for that. I don't know. It's just a lot. I don't know. We reward the player for being smart, I guess, is the point of our game. So the next layer is realizing that you can do all these other things, and you can take photos and gather evidence. And when the Chronicle update comes out, there's multiple ways to do that, not just photos. The ghosts are identifiable without their evidence. They have personalities as well. That's just part of like the learning experience. And I think if we just tell everyone what it all is, I think it'd just be too, I don't know, too not easy, but like discourage what our game's kind of about. And I think a lot of why the game was great is because people that have been around for ages would be playing lobbies with people that are new or like haven't played like loads recently, like when the console players first came in, for example. And people are generally not genuinely happy to kind of like help and teach people and show them the ropes, kind of thing. So I don't know. It's like a bonding community experience as well, right? Like the Discord's a really nice place to get all the information you need. There's so many good things on there. Like the mod team and helpers on there are amazing. They're always doing the commands to kind of provide people information when they ask questions. So there are places you can access it if you really want to know, but the game itself, we kind of want to encourage exploration and learning, and then reward you for that knowledge.
Well said. And I think it's always difficult to kind of strike that balance between community requests and game design intention, right? And like you said, so much of this is discovery and learning on the fly. And Gaz on the Twitch side also says it's nice to have a bit of mystery as well. And I think it adds to that tension. But I know we have more questions and more keep coming through. I want to make sure that we prioritize our time here. So why don't we take a look at our photo sensor stuff, and then if we have time after, we'll come back to some Q&A.
Sure, yeah, that sounds good. So this is kind of, I don't know how well you guys can see. So this is kind of what I was explaining earlier with the photo camera sensor. So we've got our photo camera here, our lovely bony camera.
I don't think I've noticed that detail before.
There's loads of small details that
I like that.
And then this is our photo camera sensor. So we've got the input sensor, which is just this box, this is what I was explaining before with like what is in this area on this layer, basically. And then we've got our line of sight on top of that, which is this yellow one here. So you can see like the width is like larger than the height, but if we click on the camera as well, it should be not that one, this one. The camera's off, that's why maybe not. Okay, I can't see the thing right now. That's fine. Yeah, so this is perfectly matched to the camera's frustum. So this is like exactly lined up with what you can see on this preview window, and then the line of sight and the distance and the width is based on this. So if I was to change this right now, just an example, like the horizontal, you can see like that yellow bit's changing there.
Mm-hmm.
So if I made that 0, you'd have to be very accurate with your height, with your width. Sorry, it'd have to be bang in the middle.
Hope you nailed it.
Yeah. Same with the distance. So I can like increase the distance, decrease the distance, that kind of thing. But yeah, no, it's just really useful to, one, visually be able to see it, and two, it's way more optimal than using like triggers and like collisions and things. Most of the time, not every scenario, but most scenarios that we've kind of used it in anyway. But yeah, most of our equipment has one of these sensors. So yeah, pretty cool. I don't know what scene I'm in. I guess we'll find out. Okay, it's splash screen. All right, we're good.
Okay, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Was there, sorry, before I change gears, is there more that you wanted to show off before I pull in?
I mean, there's loads of stuff, really. I think it'd be good to see what the community asks for, see if it lines up with anything.
I'll bring in one, and then honestly, we'll just go to like, what's your favorite? And if there's something that you want to like poke around with, we can definitely do that. Rex Clones asks, how does a team manage the number of scenes, prefabs, and scripts in their projects? And this is something that I've had conversations with people about, how regardless of the game, people will always be curious to see this, and that like it's unique to each team, but there's some universal truths, and like there's always that level of curiosity. Is there anything that you're able to show us to kind of fill in the blanks a bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a complicated one. Like when I first started, obviously we had a lot of these asset packs in, right? So they had like their own folders with their own scripts, their own scenes, and their own prefabs and their own models and everything, separately from kind of like our the game itself. And it's a really hard one to explain. I don't think there's a right and wrong answer for any project, really. Especially if you're kind of seeing how it goes and iterating on designs and seeing what you like and don't like. I think the thing that can really help though is if kind of like what I was saying with the artist tools, instead of if you're making, I don't know, like the player wants to interact with something, right? Like I don't know, like a phone, and you want to be able to pick up a phone. Instead of making a phone script where you handle the information where you pick up the phone and it does all the grabby stuff and sets the hand pose, you split it out into more generic stuff that you can reuse on loads and loads and loads of things, rather than repeating code, copy and pasting code, and just like if it's slightly broken some way, you've then got to change it in like 10 places instead of one. So that can really help. So it's like just like that interact effects example I showed earlier, right? Like instead of me making a campfire script and then it does all the particle effects and makes the campfire turn on and off, that can be done in interact effects. Instead of me making the fan in one of the maps to go like turn on and off and start spinning, like that can be done with the same script. Like I don't have to make a fan script. It's all thinking about what you can break it down into generically based on what the rest of your game looks like is really key, in my opinion, for like iterating fast, keeping your project size small, and keeping your project tidy, I guess. But even then, like Phasmophobia does do a lot of that, but even then there's a lot of stuff in the project, and it's kind of been an iterative process for us. We've tried to remove like old assets as we've implemented them, but like some things are kind of in places where they shouldn't be and things. But the way we do it is we have like a scripts folder, and then we have like folders that contain like different game mechanics within that. I mean, I don't know if you better see it because it's so small. But I could.
If you want to poke around,
I think it'd be fine. There's nothing
dangerous.
So we have like our scripts folder, and then we have like AI. So like all the AI stuff is in here. So like the state machine, and then this is the generic state machine, and then the ghost, and then we have like the I don't know, EMF stuff and ghost activity and ghost information and how interaction and the sanity drain stuff. And then we've got, I don't know, like tools. Where's tools? So then we've got all our tools in here. So this is kind of more, so there's auto prop right there. Look, haha. Like some tools were kind of like one use things. So there's a script called bulk change, which is this. And we set up our UI wrong. So instead of, when you set up a world space UI, like you're supposed to kind of like scale the because it starts off as overlay and then you change it to world and it's still massive. So you have to scale it down. But we didn't do that. We made the width and height like 0.001. So it meant that whenever we set anything else up, it was set up and then everything was just scaled completely wrong. Like our font for the text had to be 0.001 to actually look right. But then that was kind of restricted because the package wouldn't let you set it below 0.1 or something. So we had to kind of make something that would automate replacing the entire like scaling down all the elements individually and then bumping that font back up. It was a pain because we didn't want to remake the entire UI because there's loads of UI, right?
Yeah, of course.
There's sometimes stuff like that happens, but yeah, I mean, we haven't used it since, but it was great. It's useful at the time. It's
super necessary for a minute there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I guess like this is quite a good example, I guess, of a generic thing. So we've got like difficulty control. So this is kind of similar to Interact Effects 1, where it's kind of like depending on the difficulty, depends on whether things turn on and off. So for example, if you play the campsite at night time and if you play on like clear nighttime sky, then you get the fireflies.
Yeah.
But if you play during the rain, then you won't get the fireflies, right? So it's a generic script that's kind of reads from the difficulty information and the custom settings that you've set up and turns things on and off. Like, cool. But we can reuse that wherever we want. We don't have to write a Firefly script. We don't have to write a Slenderman script for where Slenderman pops up. We can just kind of customize that. So
this is awesome.
It's all like generic stuff.
Yeah.
Rex clones can't make everything generic, but so.
Oh no, you go ahead. It's your show. I'm just here.
You can't make like everything generic. Obviously, you do need custom functionality for like specific things. But I guess that's probably another good thing I could. Maybe if we go back to the photo camera. So we have like a layered system. So we have a base class called prop. And that is what is on every single grabbable object in the game, including, so that allows you to like grab stuff and drop it / throw it and the ghost to throw it, right? And then we build on top of that. So equipment is inherited from that. And then there's generic stuff that equipment can do. So it's like, is it an electronic piece of equipment? Is it consumable when you use it? Do you put it on your head? Yes or no? We probably don't want to do that for the photo camera. Is it placeable? So like when you have the video camera and you want to like press and hold F to like place it on a counter rather than like chucking it and hoping it lands, right?
Yeah.
All that is if I wanted to make the photo camera placeable, all I do is tick that and then more settings appear and like, yes, VR has to also place it instead of drop it. Can I rotate it? So like if I rotate my mouse whilst I'm holding F, it will like rotate on the spot. You can see the highlight. It's all just really, really easy to edit stuff. But it's all kind of generic across all pieces of equipment. So I can choose like the placement distance, like how far away I have to be able to, how close do I have to be able to place it? What layers do I have to, like, can I place them on? Yeah, don't know. Loads of cool stuff.
No, it's great. And again, it's so rare that we get access like this to any game, let alone one of this pedigree. So thank you again for showing us. And Rex Clone said, thank you for the insight. It's really helpful. And thanks for the answer, which is always exciting to see. We have a very specific request, and you tell me if this doesn't work for you. Stallhorde says, can you show the nav mesh surface on Tanglewood? So specific. I mean, listen, credit where credit's due. We said ask what you wanted to see, and this person said, I've got it. I'm ready.
If you don't share it for a sec, but I'll get it ready in like play
Sure.
mode, and we'll have a look.
Sure. And while you poke around with that, I'll ask you an easy one, a freebie, a toss up for you here. Angel Beat Flight on Twitch asks, "What's your favorite ghost type?"
For me, it would be. I've said it a few. Well, I don't know. I keep changing my mind. I like poltergeists because I like their ability where they just chuck absolutely everything within their range. So it's just like big explosions of stuff.
Disrupted.
Yeah,
I like it.
Let's go.
You guys are asking great questions. And it's always fun to do this as well, because we have our usual Unity community that's, curious devs, really driven. But then it's always fun to bring in people that are very clearly from the games community, right? Bringing in people that I'm very clearly sitting here like, oh yes, I know that these are Phasmophobia players, which is super cool to see. And the difference in questions and the curiosity and the lines of thinking is awesome as well.
Nice. Yeah, no, that's really cool. I mean, yeah, I'm going to be maybe 30 seconds on this. So
Gotcha.
It's another.
Do you want me to ask you another question? Are you actively engaged, or is it loading bar time?
Loading bar for a second.
Easy. Let me ask you this question from Gaz on Twitch. You added VR pretty early on, and Unity's interaction toolkit thingy has been massively updated. Did you have to keep updating the VR stuff?
Yeah. So do you mean? I guess you mean the interaction toolkit in VR. Sorry, the VR and XR interaction toolkit, right? Yeah. So we're on. Let me check. We're on version.
Get the answer in real time.
2.6.3. Oh, yeah, 2.6.3 is what we're on. We want to push it up to, I think there's like a version 3 now, but there's quite kind of game breaky changes on that one. So we might include that with the player character overhaul, the update that we've got planned in our roadmap. But yeah, I think there's some kind of useful things that will help us streamline our like VR player character. So yeah, we're definitely yeah.
Nice. And loading bar has cooperated. Are we good to dive back in? You let us know.
Yeah, it's just a lot. There's a lot of gizmos. So
okay. Well, you just say the word whenever you're ready. This is, again, you're being incredibly accommodating to this very specific request, of which I'm appreciative.
That's all right. Yeah. I lost the bone nut mesh. I mean, I can show you. Yeah. Okay. Let me just turn this one off. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's a bit of Z fighting, but yeah, I can show you.
All right. We're ready to go on the screen share then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is like a blue area is where the ghost can move, basically.
Okay.
So yeah.
So I cannot hide behind the table. It won't save me.
I mean, well, no. So you can see like the ghost can walk around here, can loop around here. There's basically just kind of like an edge on everything. But yeah.
There we go.
I don't know if there's a specific area, but yeah, this is what it looks like anyway. The Z fighting is fine. It's just because it's literally sat on top of the carpet. So it's,
sure.
Yeah. Just ignore. I think that was the ghost prefab.
Yeah, rolling up to him. Jump scare me while we're playing.
Yeah, there you go. All the ghosts stacked on top of each other.
This is nightmare. Nightmare fuel. Oh my god.
Yeah, that'll do anyway.
No, that's great. Thank you again. Again, very specific, very detailed request. So I really appreciate it. We're pretty much at time here. Is there anything, Ben, that you want to share or brag about or show off before we call it for the day?
I did try and get some Chronicle Teasy stuff approved, but unfortunately I can't show anything. But yeah, I think we are planning to show off another development preview before it comes out at some point. Cool. So yeah, keep an eye out for that when it does come out. I think we spent a long time tweaking it and a long time making sure it feels right, and we've changed things and iterated over it quite a bit because it is so core to how the game currently feels. It's quite a big change. And we're nearly there. I think it's definitely getting there. Yeah, just going for iteration changes right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Where does the Phasmophobia team communicate most of the upcoming changes, the roadmaps, the community interaction? Is that typically the Discord?
Yeah, so I mean, we kind of we have a marketing and partnerships and marketing manager now,
Nice.
and a community manager. So I think we're across quite a lot of social media now, and we do regular things on most channels, most platforms. Sorry. But Discord is kind of the main place to go if you want to meet people or get help with something or learn information, or get technical support. That's where we handle most of it there. Yeah, it's the place to be.
There you go.
There's 500,000 other people in there.
It's incredible.
If you want to hang
It's
out, come
incredible
join.
to see. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ben, thank you again for joining us. Excuse me, for bringing not just yourself, but your wealth of knowledge and experience and being willing and so open to show it. Like Rex Clone says, it's really rare that dev shows this much. So thank you very, very much. It was super great to see, says guys. Again, it's such a rare opportunity, and your kind of willingness to bring this presentation and just, I don't think I've ever had a guest that's just like, I don't know if the community wants to see anything, let me know, and I'll just open it up. And it's like, that's
I mean,
so
I'm
cool.
on a branch that's not stuff we're making, so
Safe.
I knew there wasn't going to be anything. Like, this is the same version that you guys have, so there's
Yeah.
nothing that I could accidentally leak. But so yeah, no, I don't know. There's nothing crazy. I guess it's fine.
Either way,
I'll
super
find
grateful.
out when my boss says, Ben, what have you done? You've shown them the project.
Yeah.
What have you done? Find out in a minute.
Whoops. Well, then I would like to issue
That's
an
fine.
apology to your boss, just in case. So
No,
it was
that's
my
all on me, don't worry.
influence.
It's all
Please be
good.
nice to Ben. My apologies. But Ben, again, thank you so much for being a guest here today. It was absolutely incredible reconnecting with you and getting to chat with you again, and to see your work and just how the team's grown and improved. I feel like it's catching up with an old pal. So thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's very kind of you to say. No, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, Jackson. And I'm sure it won't be the last time. And thank you to everyone in chat for hanging out and for asking lots of questions. And I'll hopefully, if you did have any more questions, then whenever my next stream is, then I'm happy to, come on over and we can have a chat. You can play with me.
Sounds great. Yeah. And everybody, we've been putting Ben's Twitch channel in the chat for both Twitch and YouTube, so go and check them out. Ben has assured me they'll return sometime soon. You know what I mean? It's streaming can be stressful. I get it. So whenever you're able, go catch Ben live, ask some more questions, follow up for sure. But with that, Ben, we'll say goodbye and we'll see you again soon.
Sounds great. Thank you very much, Jackson. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care of yourselves.
Bye, Ben.
Bye-bye.
And with that, Unity community, it's just you and I. Thank you all for being here, for asking thought-provoking, deep questions. We appreciate you. Please go and check out the Discord and discussions channel to stay up to date, stay connected with your community, ask questions, learn, brag about the work that you're doing. There's lots of opportunities to connect there. We do have our next stream on the horizon, of course. Again, we are aiming to do 2 streams a week where possible for the next few months. On Thursday this week, we will be talking about designing and creating zombie AI with the devs at Pickpock behind Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days. That will be later in the week, and apologies on that. I have a typo on there. That says May 13th. It is indeed May 15th, but it is at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, and 10 p.m. GMT. That team is in New Zealand, so we are accommodating their time zones much, much later in the day. I will make sure to get that information updated, but the event is already live on the YouTube channel, so you can pop in there and get all of that information and know exactly when that stream starts. So thank you again, Unity community, for being here. Thank you to everybody who helped put this episode together. Of course, Ben and Jack working behind the scenes as well. I'm very grateful to you all for being here. Come back on Thursday. Until I see you all again, my name's Jackson. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.